So good evening everyone and welcome you all in the problem solving class of the course Principles of Signal and System. I am Vivek Kumar Srivastava, a PMRF research scholar of Antenna and Microwave Research Laboratory, Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar, and TO of this class. So in the previous class we have covered uh, the topics such as Fourier series, and then we have seen the numericals based on the topic Fourier series, and after that we have seen uh, Fourier transform and its properties. So all these topics we have covered in the previous class. So the agenda of the today's class is to cover the numericals based on the topic Fourier transform and its properties. So yeah, this was the last slide where we left. Okay, so these properties we have seen. So in the today's class we will solve numericals based on these properties. So the first problem is to calculate the continuous time Fourier transform of cosine function, that is cos of omega naught t. So as we know that cos of omega naught t can also be written as e raised to the power j omega naught t plus e raised to the power minus j omega naught t by 2. Okay, so now we can use this relation so as to determine the Fourier transform of cos of omega naught t. So uh, yeah, so as we know that Fourier transform of e raised to the power j omega naught t is basically equals to 2 pi delta of omega minus omega naught. Okay, similarly Fourier transform of e raised to the power minus j omega naught t is equals to 2 pi delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, so we will use this property so as to evaluate the continuous time Fourier transform of cos of omega naught t. So what I will do, I will just take Fourier transform of cos of omega naught t and Fourier transform of the right side, that is e raised to the power j omega naught t plus e raised to the power minus j omega naught t by 2. Okay, so this I can write as 1 over 2. I will take 1 by 2 as a common, and then Fourier transform of e raised to the power j omega naught t, which we can directly write as 2 pi delta of omega minus omega naught plus 2 pi delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, so 2 we can cancel from both numerator and denominator. So the Fourier transform of cos of omega naught t will be equals to pi delta of omega minus omega naught plus delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, so that is how we can evaluate the Fourier transform of cos of omega naught t. So now, so here is the solution. So now we have to find out the, oh sorry, this will be sine. Okay, so we have to find out the continuous time Fourier transform of sine of omega naught t. Okay, so either we can evaluate this Fourier transform of sine of omega naught t by using the previous method, that is this one. Okay, or we can also use the properties of Fourier transform so as to evaluate the Fourier transform of sine of omega naught t. So I will use the second method so as to show you that how to use the Fourier transform properties. So from the previous solution we got that cos of omega naught t is equals to pi, means its Fourier transform basically pi delta of omega minus omega naught plus delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, so that we have seen from our previous problem. So to evaluate the Fourier transform of sine of omega naught t, what we will do, we will use the differentiation property of Fourier transform, which states that d by dt of uh, x of t is equals to j omega into x of omega. Okay, so we will use this property so as to evaluate the Fourier transform of this function. Okay, so here I will take d by dt of cos of omega naught t. So this will be equals to, here this will be pi. So now once you evaluate this side, so this will multiply by j omega. But here one more thing that we have to uh, consider is that the sign of this phase. Okay, so here if you can see from this, okay, so here the uh, first term is e raised to the power j omega naught t, whereas the second term is e raised to the power minus j omega naught t. Okay, so here from here once you differentiate this side, so you will get j omega as a constant. Okay, whereas once you evaluate d by dt of this term, then you will get minus j omega. Okay, so that we have to consider here. Okay, so that's why once you evaluate this side, so this will be equals to j omega into delta of omega minus omega naught minus j omega. This will be delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, so now you can differentiate this side, so this will be equals to minus omega naught sine of omega naught t, and this will be equals to omega, here this will be omega naught, not omega. Okay, because we are differentiating with respect to omega. Okay, so that's why here omega as a common. So minus pi, j pi omega naught into delta of omega minus omega naught minus delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, so omega naught we can cancel from both sides. So from here we can see that this will be equals to sine of omega naught t, and minus we can take from left side to right side, so this will be minus j pi delta of omega minus omega naught plus delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, or we can also simplify this, like we can this is minus, so we can take minus inside this bracket. So this will be equals to j pi delta of omega plus omega naught minus delta of omega minus omega naught. Okay, so this is basically the Fourier transform of sine of omega naught t. So we can see here that we can also use the property of Fourier transform so as to evaluate the Fourier transform of uh, some function. Okay, so now moving ahead, uh, continuous time Fourier transform of real valued function. Okay, so if suppose a real valued function x of t whose Fourier transform x of omega is given to you, so for a real valued function, if one of the most important properties is always satisfied, which is known as Hermitian symmetric property. Okay, so this Hermitian symmetric property is nothing but x of minus omega is equals to x of omega conjugate. Okay, so this basically is the Hermitian symmetric property. Okay, so this Hermitian symmetric property can be represented in alternative way, like here is the alternative form of Hermitian symmetric property. So from the above equation we can see that if x of minus omega will be equals to x of omega conjugate, okay, it means that if suppose let us assume that x of omega is equals to a plus jb, okay, in this form means it should have some real part as well as some imaginary part. Okay, so once you evaluate the x of minus omega, so you will get, yeah, a plus jb form. So once you evaluate this, so you will get x of a minus jb. Okay, whereas once you evaluate x of omega star, so you will get a minus jb. Okay, it means that the real part of x of omega will be equals to real part of x of minus omega. Okay, whereas for imaginary part, you can see that imaginary part of x of minus omega will be equals to minus imaginary part of x of omega. It means that real part of x of omega is an even function. Okay, it shows an even function, whereas the imaginary part is nothing but a odd function. Okay, it have a odd property. Okay, we can say similarly, uh, we can also represent this in alternative form, like in magnitude and phase form. Okay, so the magnitude of x of minus omega will be equals to x of omega, whereas the for the phase term, the phase of x of minus omega will be minus uh, time phase of x of omega. Here this should be here this should be x of omega. Okay, so this is the very important property by which we can solve any problem. Okay, so how to apply this concept so as to solve any problem, we will see in the next slide. Okay, so so like here we have to determine the function gt whose continuous time Fourier transform, that is g of omega, is given to us, which is 1 plus 2 pi delta of omega minus omega naught. So this basically given to us g of omega, and on the basis of that we have to evaluate the function g of t in time domain. Okay, so to solve this problem we will use this property. Okay, that is the Hermitian symmetric property. Okay, so this option is basically given to us, and we have to select that which of which of this gt is basically the uh, uh, dual of this g of omega. Okay, means it's a Fourier transform pair of g of omega. Okay, so uh, for solving this we will take just a minute. So here we will use the Hermitian symmetric property, which states that g of minus omega will be equals to g of omega conjugate. Okay, so g of omega is given to us, so let us evaluate what will be the value of g of minus omega. So once you evaluate, you will get that g of minus omega will be equals to 1 plus 2 pi delta of omega, yeah, this will be minus omega, and this will be minus omega naught. Okay, so as we know that uh, delta function is an even function. Okay, so this we can further simplify as 1 plus 2 pi delta of omega plus omega naught. Okay, whereas if you take conjugate of g of omega, so you will get the same function 2 pi delta of omega minus omega naught. Okay, so from here we can see that g of minus omega is not equals to g of omega conjugate. It means that G.
Sir, one question. Can you tell me how you can find conjugate of g of omega?
Yeah, basically G of omega is given here. Okay, and it doesn't have any imaginary part. Okay, it doesn't have any imaginary part. That's why I am writing here that G of omega conjugate is equals to 1 plus, or say G of omega conjugate is nothing but equals to G of
I
omega.
got it. So if there is no imaginary part, anyway, conjugate is same as
Yes,
the real. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so from here we can say that G of t is is not a real function, or say real valued function. Okay, so from this we can say that G of t should not be a real valued function. Okay, so from the above four option we can now select that which one is basically a non-real valued function. Okay, so if we can see in the option A, G of t is equals to delta plus cos of omega naught t, so this is basically a real valued function. Okay, similarly G of t is equals to delta of t plus sine of omega naught t, so this is also a real valued function. So now if we go to the third option, so G of t is delta t plus e raised to the power j omega naught t, so we can also simplify it as delta of t plus cos of omega naught t plus j sine of omega naught t. Okay, so from here we can see that it has a imaginary part, so option C, it can be a uh, yeah function uh, that is basically a uh, Fourier transform pair of this G of omega. Okay, so this can be a basically a function that is Fourier transform pair of G of omega, so C may be a option. So now let us move to the another one, that is the D option, which is equals to del G of t is equals to delta of t plus e raised to the power omega naught t, which is also a real valued function. Okay, so that's why option A should not be there, B should not be there, D is also incorrect. So that's why option C is the correct option of the Fourier transform pair of this G of omega. Okay, so any doubt in this problem? Yeah, so moving ahead. So here is the solution, and so now moving ahead, uh, continuous time Fourier transform of even and odd function. Okay, so what happen if x of t is basically an even function or odd function? Okay, so how to evaluate Fourier transform of this x of t? Okay, so for evaluating this we can uh, simplify basically the Fourier transform of uh, Fourier transform equation, which is given as x of omega is equal to minus infinite to infinite x of t e raised to the power minus j omega t dot dt. Okay, to simplify this equation, we will use Euler identity, which states that E of minus j omega t is equal to cos of omega t plus j sine of omega t. Okay, so we will use this identity to further simplify this equation. So once you put the value of E of minus j omega t here, okay, oh, sorry, this will be minus here basically. Yeah. So once you put the value of E of minus j omega t here, so you will get the simplified equation as integral minus infinite to infinite x of t cos of omega naught t dt minus j integral minus infinite to infinite x of t sine of omega naught sine of omega t into dt. Okay, so now let us take two cases, that is when x of t is an even function. So when x of t is an even function, so you can see here that once x of t is even function, so in this case the whole term, that is x of t into cos of omega naught t, is basically an even function, because cos of omega naught t itself is an even function. Okay, so the multiplication of two even function will always be a even function. Okay, so that's why this term is should be non-zero. Okay, whereas for the second term, where integral minus infinite to infinite x of t sine of omega naught t dot dt, so for this term, when x of t as even function, okay, so in this case the whole term will be an odd function, because sine of omega t is an odd function. So the multiplication of x of t with sine of omega t is basically an odd function. Okay, so the integral of this odd function from minus infinite to infinite will be equals to 0. Okay, so that's why when x of t is an even function, the overall Fourier transform we can evaluate by using the first term. Okay, so for an even function, x of omega is nothing but minus infinite to infinite x of t cos of omega t dot dt. So now we can use the mathematical identity. So from the mathematical identity we can say that this integral is nothing but 2 times integral 0 to infinite x of t cos of omega naught cos of omega t into dt. So for an even function we can evaluate the Fourier transform by using this equation. Okay, similarly for an odd function, means when x of t is an odd function, so in this case x of omega, from the previous equation we can write it as integral minus infinite to infinite x of t cos of omega t dot dt minus j integral minus infinite to infinite x of t sine of omega t dot dt. Okay, so when x of t is an odd function, so multiplication of x of t with cos of omega t will give an overall odd function. Okay, whereas for the second term where x of t is an odd function, the overall term will act as an even function. Okay, so that's why here the the first term will goes to 0 once you integrate from minus infinite to infinite. Okay, so we can say that x of omega in this case is nothing but twice of j integral 0 to infinite x of t sine of omega t dot dt. So by using this equation we can evaluate the Fourier transform of an odd function. Okay, so let us take a problem based on this uh, concept. So here signal x1 and x2 is given to us. Okay, which is plotted here. So like x1t we can see that x1t is nothing but an even function. Okay, so x1t is an even function because x of minus t will be equals to x of t. Okay, so like if you evaluate the value of x of minus 0.5, so this will give the same value of x of 0.5. Okay, so that's why it is an even function. Similarly the x of 2, if you can see here. Okay, so just by visualizing also we can say that x2t is an odd function. Okay, so x2t is an odd function. Okay, so mathematically also you can evaluate like x2 minus t is equal to minus x of t. Okay, so by using this equation also you can evaluate whether it's a odd function or not. Okay, so if suppose you evaluate the value of x2 of minus 1, So this is equals to -2, whereas x2 of 1, this will give value of 2. So from here also we can say that x2t is an odd function. Okay, so now let us apply the concept so as to evaluate the Fourier transform of x1 and x2. Okay, so just a moment. Yeah, so uh, for finding out the Fourier transform of x1t, let me write this x1t in mathematical form. So this can be written as uh, yeah, x x1t is equals to 2 when t varies from my yeah -2 to 1, then mod of t when t varies from -1 to 1, and 2 when t varies from 1 to 2. Okay, so this is the mathematical form of x1t. Okay, so now we can evaluate the Fourier transform of x of omega, x1 of omega, let us say. So this will be equals to twice of 0 to infinite x of t cos of omega t dot dt. Okay, so now we can put the value of x1t here in this expression. So we will get, yeah, this starts from 0 to 1, t dot cos of omega t dot dt plus twice of integral 1 to 2 cos of omega t dot dt. Okay, so now we once we evaluate this expression, we can get the uh, Fourier transform of x1 of omega. So for solving the first integral, we will use integral by part. So here let us take t as a first part and the cos of omega t as a second part. So this we can evaluate as first part integral of second part, that is cos integral will be sine. Okay, minus integral of d by dt of first part, that is t, which will equals to 1 into sine of omega t by omega dot d omega. Okay, and after that we have to put the limit of integral, which is from start from 0 to 1. Okay, similarly the for the second part we can write as 4 and sine of omega t by omega. Okay, so we can also put the limit here. So once you evaluate this integral, okay, you will get this expression, which is basically the Fourier transform of x1t. So I am leaving this mathematical uh, part to you, so you can solve it later. Okay, so once you evaluate, you will get this expression of x1t, sorry, x1 omega. Okay, so this is the Fourier transform of x1t. Similarly, for solving the second part, that is x2t, Fourier transform of x2t, we have to first represent the mathematical form of x2t. So this we can write as x2t is equals to -2 when t varies from -2 to 1. So like here, when t varies from -2 to 1, its value is -2. So from -1 to 1, the value will be equals to t, or sorry, 2t, because slope is here 2. Okay, similarly for uh, t varies from 1 to 2, the value will be equals to 2 and 0 for otherwise. So you can use the expression, that is the expression of odd function, which is equals to minus j integral minus infinite, sorry, this will be start from 0 to infinite x2t into sine of omega t dot dt. Okay, so we will use this expression so as to find the Fourier transform of x to omega. Okay, so once you evaluate this integral, you will get this expression, that is x to omega will be equals to j4 by omega square into this function. Okay, so I'm leaving this exercise, basically the integral part, so you can solve it later. Okay, so once you evaluate, you will get this expression. Okay, so now moving ahead, the next problem is we have to find out the continuous time Fourier transform of rectangular function. Okay, so this rectangular function is given to us, okay, which start from minus tau by 2 to tau by 2. Okay, which varies from minus tau by 2 to tau by 2 and having a value of 1 between them and 0 otherwise. Okay, so we have to find out the value of f of omega, so we will use this expression minus infinite to infinite f of t e raised to the power minus j omega t dot dt. Okay, so now we can uh, integrate it from minus tau by 2 to tau by 2. This will be equals to 1. F of t is 1 between this limit, and this will be equals to minus j omega t dot dt. Okay, so this integral will be nothing but minus omega, and now we can put the limit of integration, that is minus tau by 2 to tau by 2. Okay, so this we can simplify as minus 1 by j omega e raised to the power minus j omega tau by 2 minus, this will be plus j omega tau by 2. Okay, so if you can see here, this form is nothing but sine form. Okay, so to make it sine form, what we will do, we will multiply both numerator and denominator by uh, 2j. Okay, so once you and also this minus should be multiplied with this. Okay, so this will come as 1 by omega sine of omega tau by 2. Okay, and yeah, 2 will be here, 2 by omega, because this j and j will cancel and this minus I will take inside. Okay, so to make it sine of omega tau by 2. Okay, so now if suppose we multiply both numerator and denominator by tau, so this we can write as tau sine of omega tau by 2 over omega tau by 2. Okay, so if you can see here, so this is nothing but sinc function. Okay, sinc omega tau by 2 pi. Okay, so that is how we can evaluate the uh, Fourier transform of rectangular function. So from here we can say that if the input to the
Uh, 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 sir, just one question.
yes,
That sync function is tau sync omega tau by 2 pi.
yes, because the
Uh,
relationship between sine and sinc is sine of, sorry, sinc of t, let us say, is equals to sine of pi t over pi t. Okay,
okay.
yeah, so this pi comes from this identity. Okay, so from this problem we can say that if the rectangular function uh, is is in the time domain, so corresponding Fourier transform, that is in frequency domain, it is nothing but a sinc function. Okay, so yeah, so now moving to the next problem. So here we are now uh, so So here in this problem, the approach is different. Okay, so here g of omega is given to us. Okay, and now we have to evaluate that what will be the value of g of t. Okay, so basically here we will do the inverse problem, which is inverse Fourier transform. Okay, so to evaluate the inverse Fourier transform g of t, we will use this relation, that is 1 over 2 pi integral minus infinite to infinite g of omega e raised to the power j omega t dot d omega. Okay, so now let us try to evaluate the inverse problem of this g of omega. So this we can write as 1 over 2 pi integral minus w to w. Okay, value of g of omega will be 1 between this interval, and this will be equal to e raised to the power j omega t dot d omega. Okay, so this we can also write as 1 over 2 pi e raised to the power minus j omega uh, t over, oh sorry, this is j omega, basically this will be jt. Okay, and now we can put the limit of integration from minus w to w. So this will be equal to 1 over 2 pi j into t e raised to the power j w t minus e raised to the power minus j w t. Okay, so we can multiply both numerator and denominator by 2j. Okay, so this is nothing but sine, and this 2j and 2j will cancel from both numerator and denominator. So this we can write as 1 over pi t sinc of wt, oh sorry, sine of wt. Okay, so now we what we will do, we can also write, we can multiply both numerator and denominator by w, so as to make or say represent this function in terms of sinc function. Okay, so once we write, or say we multiply both numerator and denominator by w, we will get w by pi sine of wt over wt, which is equals to w by pi sinc of wt by pi. Okay, so from this problem we can say that if the time domain function is, or say the frequency domain function, that is g of omega, is a rectangular function whose width start from minus w to w. Okay, so the corresponding time domain function will be equals to a sinc function. Okay, so this I am saying just because this property is very important in communication perspective. Okay, so in communication you can see that several a time for solving any problem, uh, in frequency domain, if suppose let us say in time domain signal is a rectangular function. Okay, so the corresponding frequency domain we analyze in sinc function, or vice versa. Okay, so here is the solution of the problem. So from here also we can see that the uh, yeah, inverse problem of this rectangular function which is in the frequency domain result in sinc function in time domain. Okay, so w by pi sinc of w by pi t. Okay, so these two problem, if you can see that this one and this one, that these problems we have analyzed by using the Fourier transform equation. Okay, so now in the next problem we will use the duality property basically, so as to evaluate uh, this relation. Okay, so as we know that in time domain, if this rectangular function is given to us, so the corresponding uh, spectrum in basically the uh, frequency domain will result in a sinc function. Okay, so by using this property and by using the principle of duality, we have to evaluate that if uh, sync function is in the time domain, then what will be the corresponding frequency domain response, or say spectra of the sync function. Okay, so we will use duality property. So first of all, let us take a look at what duality property states. So duality property states that if x of t is the input, okay, or say x of t is basically a signal whose Fourier transform is x of omega. Okay, so to evaluate the uh, x of t, means capital X of t, what we have to do, we have to take x of minus omega and multiply by 2 pi. Okay, so this is the duality property. So we will use this duality property. Okay, so as to evaluate if sync function is the time domain, is in the time domain, then what will be the spectra in corresponding the frequency domain. Okay, so let us solve this. Okay. Yeah, so rect of t by tau is given to us, and the corresponding frequency domain representation is tau sync of omega tau by 2 pi. Okay, so now to evaluate the this sync of t tau by 2 pi, we will use duality property. Okay, and here is tau also. Okay, so here what I'm trying to say, just replace omega with t and t with minus omega. Okay, so once you do this, you will get 2 pi rect omega minus omega by tau. Okay, so if you will see the rect function, so it is an even function. Okay, it means that rect of minus omega will result into rect of omega. So this we can also write as 2 pi rect of omega by tau. Okay, so now, yeah, so here we can say that tau sync of t tau by 2 pi will be will give the Fourier transform of 2 pi rect of omega by tau. So now what we will do, we will take tau as 2w. Okay, because here if you can see that tau basically we have tau is basically in the time domain. Okay, so here, like, here is the tau in time domain, we have taken tau, whereas in frequency domain we have taken w. Okay, so the width here will be equals to 2w. Okay, so that's why here I am taking tau as 2 of 2 times of w. Okay, so once you put here 2 times of w sinc of t into 2w over 2 pi. So this will result 2 pi rect of omega over twice of w. Okay, so this 2 and 2 cancel from both sides. So now this pi I will take in the divider of the left hand side. Okay, so w by pi sinc tw by pi will give Fourier transform as rect omega by 2 pi. Okay, so that is how we can use the duality property. So like here, if you can see that this result in the same expression. Okay, so here I evaluate this by using the proper by using the expression of the Fourier transform, whereas yeah, so here I evaluated the this relation by using the uh, formula that is given to us, whereas here for evaluating the this expression I use the duality property. So anyway, by using the property or by using formula, you will get the same expression. So like here you can see that in both the method you get the same thing. Okay, so overall result will remains the same by using any method. So you can use either the properties or either the uh, formulas that is given to us so as to evaluate the Fourier transform. Okay, so here is the solution of the problem that we have already solved. Okay, so now moving ahead. So the next problem states that calculate the response of a system. Calculate the response to a system when applying an input signal x of t as e raised to the power minus t u of t to a linear time invariant system with the impulse response h of t is given as e raised to the power minus 2t into ut. Okay, so here let us suppose this impulse response of this linear time invariant system is given to us h of t, which is equals to e raised to the power minus 2t into ut, and the input to this system is x of t, which is also given to us e raised to the power minus t into ut. So now we have to evaluate the response of this system. Okay, so the response of linear time invariant system is represented as y of t is nothing but uh, convolution of x of t with h of t. Okay, or in frequency domain, by using the property we can also write it as y of omega is equals to x of omega dot h of omega. Means in frequency domain this will be the multiplication basically. Okay, so now we will use this relation. Okay, so as to evaluate the output, that is y of omega. So x of t is given to us, which is equals to e raised to the power minus t into ut. So once you evaluate x of omega, you will get 1 over j omega plus 1. Okay, whereas for h of t, which is equals to e raised to the power minus 2t into ut, the h of omega is defined as 1 over j omega plus 2. Okay, so now I will put the value of x of omega and h of omega in this expression. So I will get 1 over j omega plus 1 in multiply with 1 over j omega plus 2. Okay, so now I will use partial differentiation method. Okay, so this I can write as 1 minus 1 over Okay, sorry, this I am using here partial fraction method. Okay, so by using partial fraction I can write y of omega s, this expression. Okay, so now I can take the inverse Fourier transform. So by using inverse Fourier transform we can write it as e raised to the power minus t into ut minus e raised to the power minus 2t into ut. Okay, so this is nothing but y of t. So this is the response of this linear time invariant system when xt is equal to e raised to the power minus t into ut. Okay, so by even so from this problem we have seen that how to apply the property of Fourier transform, that is uh, how to use the property of Fourier transform, that is convolution property. Okay, so as to evaluate the response. Okay, so here is the solution. uh, so now moving ahead, so here the next problem states that calculate the energy of the continuous time signal x of t, which is equal to e raised to the power minus at into ut in both the time as well as frequency domain. Okay, so let us find first of all the energy of this signal in time domain. So in time domain, energy is basically defined as integral minus infinite to infinite mod of x of t square dot dt. Okay, so now we will put this x of t here. So this integral becomes minus infinite to infinite e raised to the power minus 2 at into ut dot dt. Okay, so this ut will change the limit of integration from 0 to infinite e raised to the power minus 2 at into dt. Okay, so once you evaluate this integral you will get, and the limit of integration is from 0 to infinite. Okay, so here once you put the limit, so you will get 0 minus 1. So the value of energy that is contained in this signal, yeah, is equal to 1 over 2a. Okay, so similarly we can determine the uh, energy that is contained in frequency domain. So in frequency domain, so in frequency domain for evaluating the energy that is contained in a signal we will use Parseval relation. Okay, we will use Parseval relation, which states that uh, minus infinite to infinite mod of x of t square dot dt is equal to 1 over 2 pi integral minus infinite to infinite mod of x of omega square dot d omega. Okay, so now we have seen that how to use this expression so as to evaluate the energy that is in the time domain. Okay, so now we will use this expression so as to evaluate the energy that is contained by the signal in frequency domain. Okay, so we will use this expression. So now energy in frequency domain we can evaluate as 1 over 2 pi integral minus infinite to infinite. Now x of t that is given to us is e raised to the power minus at into ut. So the corresponding Fourier transform of this signal, that is x of t, is x of omega, which is nothing but equals to 1 over 1 plus j omega. Oh sorry, a plus j omega, because here e raised to the power minus at is given to us. So that's why this x of omega will be equals to 1 over a plus j omega. So now we will put the value of x of omega here. So this will be equals to 1 over a plus j omega mod square dot d omega. So this will be equals to 1 over 2 pi integral minus infinite to infinite. So the uh, or say the magnitude of this a plus j omega, you can write it as a square plus this will be omega square. Okay, and this square is already present in the expression. So this square and root will cancel, so the final expression of this partial relation will be minus infinite to infinite 1 over a square plus omega square dot d omega. So this is nothing but 1 over 2 pi tan inverse 1 over a tan inverse omega by a. Okay, and the limit is from minus infinite to infinite. Okay, so this will be equals to 1 over 2 pi a into, now we can put the limit of integration, that is omega varies from minus infinite to infinite. So this will be equals to uh, tan inverse infinite, which is nothing but pi by 2. Okay, minus tan inverse minus infinite, which is minus pi by 2. So this minus and minus will make this plus, and this this is the final expression 1 over 2 pi a into pi. So this pi and pi will cancel, so the final value of energy in frequency domain will be equals to 1 over 2a. So from here we can say that even by calculating the energy in frequency domain, the same value we will get. Okay, so that we are getting by evaluating the energy in time domain. Okay, so that is how we can use Parseval relation so as to evaluate the energy contained in any signal in frequency domain. Okay, so I hope this problem will is clear to you. So here is the solution that we have seen. So now moving ahead, the next problem: determine if the continuous time Fourier transform exists for the following function. Okay, so here three function is given to us, that is f of t, g of t and h of t. So by using this function we have to check whether the Fourier transform can exist for this function or not. Okay, so here to check whether the continuous time Fourier transform will exist for this function, we will check whether the Dirichlet conditions are satisfying for these functions or not. So from the previous class we have seen that Dirichlet conditions states that the first Dirichlet condition states that the integral of any function for which Fourier transform we are evaluating should be finite. Okay, so this is the first Dirichlet condition. The second Dirichlet condition states that the finite
Minima.
number of maxima and minima within the interval. Okay, within any interval. Similarly, the third condition states that the function should have finite number of uh, discontinuities within its interval. So if uh, the any function satisfying these three conditions, so we can say that the Fourier transform can exist for that function. Okay, so basically we have to check these conditions. Okay, so the let us move ahead and check whether the Fourier transform of Fourier transform will exist for these functions or not. So first of all, we will take the first function, that is f of t. So f of t is given to us e raised to the power minus at into ut. Okay, so first of all, if you plot this function, so this will comes like this. Okay, so the plot will be like this. Okay, so this is the plot of f of t, which is exponentially decaying function. Okay, so from here, if we can see here, so this function does not have any discontinuity, so the third condition is already satisfying. Similarly, the second condition, finite number of maxima and minima over its interval, so from 0 to infinite it have one maxima, one minima. Okay, so the second condition is also satisfying, so we have to check whether the first condition is satisfying for this function or not. So for that we have to evaluate this integral, that is minus infinite to infinite e raised to the power minus at into ut dot dt. Okay, so this will be equal to 0 to infinite e raised to the power minus at into dt, and this once you evaluate, minus at by minus a, and the limit of integration is from 0 to infinite, minus 1 over a, 0 minus 1, so this will be equals to 1 over a. Okay, so this basically shows that the integral of this function will be finite. Okay, so from here we can say that all the three condition is satisfying, so we can say that Fourier transform for this function will exist. So similarly, we can check the Fourier transform for the second function, that is g of t. So if you plot this function g of t, so this function will comes like this. Okay, so this is the plot of g of t. So this is also a decaying function from minus infinite to infinite, but this function will exist for negative values of t as well. Okay, so from here we can say that it it has finite number of maxima and minima over its interval, and it does not have any discontinuity, so both condition 2 and 3 is satisfying here. So now we will check the first condition. So minus infinite to infinite e raised to the power minus at dot dt, so this will be equal to minus at over minus a, and limit of integration is from minus infinite to infinite, so 1 over a e raised to the power minus infinite minus e raised to the power infinite. Okay, so if you can see here, so the value of this expression will be unbounded, it will be infinite, because e raised to the power minus infinite will be 0, but e raised to the power infinite is infinite. Basically at minus infinite we cannot say that what will be the value here. Okay, so that's why this is not bounded. Okay, it means condition 1 is not satisfying, condition 1 is not satisfying, so that's why the Fourier transform of this function will not exist. Okay, similarly we can check the Fourier transform of the whether the Fourier transform of third function, that is cos of omega naught t, will exist or not. So like here also, if you plot cos of omega naught t, okay, so within its interval, that is, let us say from here to here, okay, it has finite number of maxima and minima, discontinuity will not exist, so 2 and 3 condition is satisfying here. Okay, but if you check that whether the first condition is satisfying or not, okay, dot dt, okay, so this will result into infinite, because this function, that is cos of omega naught t, if it starts from minus infinite and in at infinite, okay, so it has infinite number of power, okay, so that's why if you evaluate this integral, so this will result into infinite, and it means that first condition is not satisfying for the uh, third part, that is h of t. Hence the Fourier transform of this function h of t will not exist, okay.
Sir,
Yes,
the previous question.
yes.
For cos omega t,
Hmm.
you say Fourier transform does not exist,
Hmm.
but Fourier series exists, right?
Yes, yes,
Correct?
yes.
Fourier series exists.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So now moving ahead, here's the next problem. So the problem states that consider a linear time invariant system with impulse response is given to us, that is h of t is equals to 10 by pi sinc 10 t by pi, okay. This impulse response is given to us, okay. So uh, we have to determine basically the output of the system when the input applied is basically x1 and x2, okay. So we have to determine basically if the impulse response of this system, that is h of t, is given to us. So if we apply this x1t to this system, that what will be the output of this system, that is y1t, and if x2 is applied to this system, then what will be the output of this system, y2t. Basically this we have to solve here, okay. So for solving this problem, uh, we will use uh, the concept of our previous uh, questions, okay. So like here we will use convolution property first of all, okay. Convolution property we will use. So according to convolution property, the response of any LTI system y of omega is defined as multiplication of h of omega with x of omega, okay. So h of t is given to us. So if we evaluate h of omega and the corresponding x of t which is given to us, if we evaluate x of omega, so by using this we can easily evaluate that what will be the response of this system, okay. So now let us evaluate first of all that what will be the value of h of omega. So h of t is given to us, which is a sinc function, okay. So from from the previous problem, as we have seen that if w by pi sinc wt by pi is 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 in the time domain form, so let us see here, yeah. So if this function is in the time domain, so the corresponding frequency domain uh, is represented by the rect function, okay, rect of omega by 2w, yeah. So here the corresponding frequency domain will be rect of omega by 2w, okay. So from here we can see that if we compare these two expression, we will get w as 10, okay. So now we will put the value of w here, so this will be rect of omega by 20, okay. So we can plot this rect of omega by 20. So in frequency domain, this can be written as sorry, this can be plotted as uh, minus 10 to 10, its value will be 1, okay. Apart from this, the value will be 0. So this is the plot of h of omega, okay. So we basically find out that what will be the plot of h of omega. So now if suppose we can find out the value of x1 of omega, so by using the multiplication property, by using the convolution property, we can easily multiply this h of omega with x1 of omega, so as to evaluate the output response of this system. Okay, so let us now evaluate that what will be the value of x1 of omega. So x1 of omega we can write it as 1 over 2 pi delta of omega minus 5 minus delta of omega plus 5. Okay, so this we can also simplify as 1 over 2. If we take j, if we multiply both numerator and denominator with minus, okay, so or say we take minus as a common, let us say we take minus as a common, so this minus if we take, so this can be represented as, this minus can be represented as j square. Okay, so from both numerator and denominator j will cancel, so the final value that will come as j by 2 delta of omega plus omega naught, or which is 5 here, minus delta of omega minus 5. Okay, so this can be plotted as, so at minus 5. Okay, so at 5, this its value is minus j by 2. Okay, whereas at minus 5 its value will be j by 2. Okay, so this is the frequency response of x1 of omega. So now we can multiply these two so as to get the response y1 of omega. Okay, so y1 of omega is equals to x1 of omega into h of omega. Okay, so like I multiply both h of omega uh, with the this and this. Okay, so as we know that delta will exist only for omega is equals to omega naught. Okay, so that's why h of omega I am writing as h of 5. Okay, so if h of omega, that is h of 5, is a finite value, then this expression will exist, and if h of 5 will be 0, so the whole response will be 0. So for this we can see that h of omega is having a value of 1 from minus 10 to 10. So that's why if you evaluate at minus 5, so its value will be 1, and at minus 5 as well as 5 its value will be 1. So that's why if you multiply this, you will get y1 is equals to the same expression of x1 of omega. So this and this remains the same, so that's why y1t is equals to sine of pi t. Okay, so this basically represent the band pass filter. Okay, so h of omega is here is a band pass filter. So here its band start from minus 10 to 10, and once you apply the signal sine of 5t, okay, whose frequency is in the limit from minus 10 to 10, so that's why it is passing the signal. Okay, whereas for the second problem where the input is sine of 15t. Okay, so once you evaluate the x2 of omega, you will get two delta function which placed at minus 15 and plus in 15. Okay, which is basically outside this uh, this plot, that is rect function of the system. Okay, so that's why here once you multiply this with the h of 15, so h of 15 is 0 here. Okay, because it exists only between minus 10 to 10. Okay, so that's why the value of this expression as well as this expression will be 0. So the overall response of this system will be 0. Okay, so so this is the last problem, and thank you.